Hello and welcome back to another video. Just a little video. I was out and about in the garden and it's October, so I thought I'd kind of end up doing a little bit of a roundup of how I thought my gardening summer went and how the annual plants performed again this year. And overall, I've been delighted. I mean, things are starting to look, perhaps you can see these African marigolds. I mean, things are starting to look a little bit tatty now in parts, but some of it still goes on and will go on until it gets frosted or I pull it up to start setting bulbs and the winter spring bedding. But overall, I'm delighted. A lot of people think this kind of gardening is crazy. It's a lot of work, certainly. But I've had colour in the garden right from when I set many of these plants out at the end of May. I will have a walk round and just show you little odd bits that are left and still, performing, giving me colour in the garden. One or two things haven't done as well as I perhaps would have liked. As always, that's gardening for you, and I'll point those out to you as I go round. But overall, it's not been a bad year for growing here. It's not been too dry. It's not been too wet. Overall, where we are, it's been more dry, I think, than wet. In many places, in different parts of the country, I know in the west and probably the further north you go, it's been quite wet at times. But here it's been, relatively dry, and we still could do with some catching up with some rain really here. So yeah, all in all, it's been a pretty fair summer weather-wise, and the plants seem to have enjoyed that and have benefited, unlike last year when we had those really, several weeks of or longed spell of very dry and very warm weather. The plants certainly did suffer in that. So without further ado, I'll walk around and show you what's left. So you can see my tubs there are still flowering. The fuchsias have had a little bit of a flowering break, but have got some more buds coming on them now. One hopes they will come out, as we go on into October, because it speaks of being quite warm this week, and so hopefully they'll. And the petunias are keeping going. Coming around there, there's still some colour in those begonias, those bedding dahlias, and the petunias there. Down this side, things like the lobelia goes over, in September. That obviously goes very strawy, and so I then start tending to pull that up. But there's still bits of colour. The Bishop of Leicester dahlias there, the sort of kind of off-white little dahlias are doing well, and there's a Bishop Landaf next to it. They say they've been giving me colour really, right from June onwards, and the petunias and begonias right from May, from when they were set out. Obviously this front now is looking, a little bit tired. The ageratum, which has done fantastically again, and the geraniums and the French marigolds are still going, as are the begonias. The Rebecchias, the perennial Rebecchias at the back there, and the Cosmos is all looking a bit tired, and so I should probably come in within a week or two and start to tidy all that up. The tubs of geraniums over there are still giving plenty of colour as well. Considering this is now October, all round there's still bits and pieces of colour. So the ageratum it's a real good doer, that is. It's a variety called blue mink, and I grow that from seed, as all these bedding dahlias on this side have been raised from seed this year in my greenhouse. These dahlias here are tubers, the Bishop Landaf, and I don't know what the orange one is, I can't remember what offhand, but there again I've grown the annual Rebecchias there from seed, and they're a little bit later, so they've got some great flowers still on them. And as you can see, into October it's still giving me flower. Obviously not such a wonderful display as, you know, as the middle of summer, as you'd expect now, because these are annual plants. And coming over this side, you know, I've had some nice big dahlias at the back there. They were bought from Sutton's. I tried Sutton's and they've done really quite well. Quite pleased with those really, and I've picked quite a few of those, and, you know, had them inside as well as the wind of the last few weeks has done everything no favours, sadly. But I've certainly had, you know, what I call value for money out of it, I think. Now these two fuchsias here are quite interesting. These were bought from J. Parker's again as fuchsia cuttings in April. But I'm very disappointed in these, whether it's something I've done. As you can see, they've made, as I would say, stonking great plants, but they've had just handfuls of flower on. They did say this one, which is a little white fuchsia, it was classed, I know, on the collection as an outdoor garden fuchsia, so maybe it just didn't suit the tub. Perhaps there was too much goodness in it was fresh compost in the tub, and I can't remember what this one was, but it's a purpley sort of centre with white outside petals. I mean, it had a nice few flowers on, but, you know, not very good at all really. I mean, everything else in the tub, which is now going over, has been splendid. You know, as you can see, the old this is some lobelia seed that I got from a Polish firm several years ago, and it it goes really rampant. It can take over a little bit, but as I say, it's all getting a little bit tarred now. But I was quite disappointed with those two fuchsias. The one round the side of them, which you can see has still got one or two flowers on, has flowered profusely and has actually been, you know, a picture with the petunias and the lobelia. So you never quite know, you know, whether when I pull this out, whether I put this in a space in the garden and see if it overwinters and see what it does next year. I might well do that. And as I say, there's still pockets of colour, you know, even on these tubs, which are, as I say, you know, I'm not too disappointed if, you know, because I've I've got a lot of pansies and polyanthus to set out, so, you know, in a week or two's time I shall be probably pulling these, you know, plants out of this tub. As you can see, the African marigolds are going a bit, you know, I've stopped deadheading them now, and but as I say, there's still pockets of colour. Some more of my seed-grown Rebecca there, and I must say, you know, star of the show for me this year and constant colour has been those bedding begonias. I think they're the Origandi series. They seem to go on and on and on and never let you down. Along with the bedding dahlias that I've grown from seed, they have been, you know, quite amazing, as I say. And this bit here was all earlier on. There was Nicotiana and bedding dahlias and some Rebecca. Here are the marigolds that I did a video of that I set. I grew these late. I set them end of June, early July, I believe, just to fill one or two spaces up. And there were sweet peas here, and so they've done quite well. They've, you know, made a bit of late colour, and they've filled a space. I kind of like to do that. If you've got any seeds left from, you know, spring, to set them, you know, middle of summer and see how you get on, see how they do. I've got some more down here, French marigolds that I did. There were some more sweet peas here, and yeah, I mean, you know, it's, as I say, the garden is getting, you know, this is the thing with annual gardening. You do reach spells of the year. Well, with perennials, I mean, I mean, this is a perennial Rebecca here, and you can see it's starting to go over now. That is some very late cosmos that I set, and there again, sadly, it was doing really well, but but then, you know, it got devastated by the wind. The phlox, the perennial phlox there, stood up against the wind, you know, but the poor old cosmos, it took full force of some of the gales we've had. But yeah, overall, you know, as I say, considering, you know, it's Now into October, I really, value for money wise, you know, I can't really complain at all how things are done and how well I've been satisfied with everything, with the plug plants that I bought in, which is only you know, I think it's only the begonias and some geraniums, and everything else was grown from seed basically. You know, I mean, sadly here again, it's been really blown about with the wind, and you know, the Rebecca have gone everywhere, and the phlox, and there's some big dahlias behind there which were splendid a few weeks ago. But yeah, it's been a very good year for the colour, I think, again. And I thought I'd end by just showing you how magnificently my pansies and polyanthus are now coming on. I did a video and I complained about the standard of plug plants and how they got delivered, but you can see, as I said at the time, I thought they were going to recover okay. And these are the last lot of pansies I had come from Brookside nurseries, and they're Brookside polyanthus, and these are Parker's here polyanthus and Parker's pansies there, and they're the Brookside Bellis daisies. So yeah, I mean they're coming on, you know, as I say, really well now. I've got some that it's a bit windy today, but I do start rotating them and standing them outside on less windy days to start to get them acclimatised, because as I say, some of the pansies in particular I shall start doing the tubs very soon. But it just shows you, you know, never give up on plants, however battered and damaged they come. I think the secret this time of the year is ventilation. You know, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I have the roof vent open and the door open, and the bottom roof, bottom vents open as well, and let a really good supply of air come through. You don't want the greenhouse too warm. You know, it's only to keep the weather off them this time of the year and get as good and bigger plants as you can. But you know, if you keep it all shut up, there's a great chance that, you know, you can get things like botrytis, grey mould, and they can go sloppy. And but it's been a lovely year when you can have the door and ventilation in here, you know, and so I'm delighted really of how they've come round. So there we go. That's a little catch up, and as I say, all in all, I'm delighted as always. You know, it's a lot of time. Not necessarily money so much, and because you try and do everything yourself. Okay, you have to buy the seeds, you have to buy the compost, and I even put a little bit of heat on in my greenhouse, which, you know, costs a certain amount. But for what I've outlaid, and the, you know, colour and the display that I've had, I'm very well satisfied. You know, and it's been excellent. And not that I go for comments, but everybody that has come to the house or walked past the house, particularly on the front garden, has admired it and said, my goodness, that's a fantastic, you know, colourful display you've got there, which, you know, doesn't, you know, bother me, but it kind of makes it, you know, that bit more worthwhile if people are noticing what you're doing. As I say, sadly, we don't have front gardens, to my view, with enough colour and flowers in them nowadays. I mean, some days in the summer that was alive with bees of all shapes and sizes and insects, and you know, what butterflies were there. We had quite a few more red admiral butterflies in August, thank goodness, and you know, it's alive some days with bees and butterflies, which is great as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's far better than some empty driveway and bland, you know, looking front gardens that so many people sadly have and have to have these days, I suppose. But as always, thanks for watching. I shall be back with more videos in the future, and until that point in time, as always, thank you very much, and I appreciate your kind comments, and I'll catch up with you soon, and wherever you are in the world, good gardening, and until my next video, my best wishes, and bye for now.